I'm walking up to the org and, whoops, if you can see the small white ball cap, that is the Russian Scientologist Olga. How you doing, Maria Graham? I'm just gonna see where she heads off to. I just walked into, sorry. Oh, is that zoomed in way too much? Yeah. I just walked into the Dearborn Street station earlier to see if there was any propaganda in there. If she goes in there, I'll go in after. I'm not positive if she would recognize me. I haven't been here for, what, 4 months? But you can see, howdy Greg, great seeing you. You can see she's headed towards Grant Park. She did have the Way to Happiness hat on, but none of her other clothing seemed to be branded Way to Happiness. It's not that active over in Grant Park yet, so I'll let her go for now, but let me head over to the org and see if they've got the blinds open. This morning, just before my run, I came out of the hotel and I saw a crumpled flyer sitting there on the sidewalk and realized that, okay, yep, Scientology is out there. How you doing, Bella? Great to see you in here. Yeah, thank you, Gregory. I appreciate that. It's somber, but I'm glad that she's resting. So yesterday, she wasn't wearing, it was a white top and it was a tank top. So I don't know that there are, I don't remember there being tank top, branded tank top stuff for Scientology. She did, like I said, she had the white ball cap with the round logo, which, right, with the, oh, it looks like the nature scene of the river coming down the middle of the circle with the green on the bottom and the skylight on the top. Yeah, I have no doubt that they were out. So again, it's the lake or Grant Park is really where all the touristing kind of happens, or Michigan Avenue. I will head back over there. It's been a while since I've been here, so my distance adjustment is probably off. I just saw somebody walk into a building, but I think they went into the college. Yeah, those are in the college, because I can see the eyeball of the college up there, or the camera. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Gregory is kind of over by their African CLO and major base there. Howdy, Mintaz. Oh, windows are open. Let's see what we've got here today. I don't recognize the person at the desk, but we've got a new person at the desk. Asking us to go in and see the receptionist. There is somebody at the back. There's a child. I don't know if you can see all the way back there, but there's a child in the very back. They've got the sandwich boards here. Little sign for the stress test inside the building. Let's see if we can get the attention of the, oh, look, the bundled set. Yeah, the glare does make it very challenging here. But here I think you can see pretty well the lady sitting at the front desk. What's the sign behind there? times like these need people like you. So there's a recruiting sign that's behind her on that easel. If we look in here in the cafeteria, there's nobody really in the cafeteria. Howdy. I'm not positive. There might be a Pride parade, but there's always Pride events going on here in Chicago. There might be a Pride parade here. Oh. Yeah, you need to get my face out of there. So the woman is very intently looking at her computer. As we look up, right, the blinds are still closed up there as well. Some college students coming by. One of the reasons that I kind of want to be close to the window is to see her attention, so to see if she'll glance over here. Oh, I don't recognize the sign. It might have been there all along, but they've got the cafe sign up there. Across the street, right, we've got the Imprint, which is one of the locations where a lot of the members seem to have resided back when I was up here more regularly. Unfortunately, there's a tree that's given us shade here, so I'm not sure if you can see. Oh, the child's kind of moved into the bay, so you can't see him. Now they've sat back down. Oh, I think maybe we've gotten her to react. Anything positive to share about the church? Any big wins today? Have you talked to your family? Does your family know where you are? If communication is the source of salvation, why can't you communicate? And the blinds come down because the cult can't operate in daylight. The cult's too ashamed to be able to show the public that they're empty. So Scientology spent their hundreds of millions of dollars to build this beautiful building here. It's entirely empty, and out of shame, they have to make sure that they've got the windows closed. You know, I will say that I have never really seen a loose-fitting Scientology uniform. All right. I'm going to head over towards Michigan Avenue and see if we can find our little Russian friend, Olga. You know, I thought just before we left that we had discovered her name, but I just can't for the life of me recall what that might have been. Very warm day here in Chicago. Like I said, you probably saw earlier that I posted that little short, and what it was is I had, as I came out of the hotel to go running this morning, I saw a crumpled up flyer right there on the sidewalk, and then I saw two more before I got to the end of that block. So somebody must have been right there yesterday. The good news is I always love when I don't even need to be around and that propaganda gets put down. Now, you know, I do agree that she was slow on blind tech, but I think that she was slow on her awareness. So she wasn't keeping track of the landscape for lack of a better term. But as soon as she finally detected me, she very quickly went to the front door. And it's odd. The females always go to the door first and close the door, and then they'll close the blinds. The males seem to always close the blinds and then go to the doors. I'm taking advantage of some time here today. Family is doing their morning routine stuff. I usually get up very early. Got my run in. I'll spend maybe 30, 45 minutes here. Again, we'll see if we can find the young lady who is out with her Way to Happiness hat on. Hopefully everybody's doing well. I will say it does feel good that I still have that power over mess, that I can bring the blinds down. I still love that we close the retail space, right? So if Scientology can't put their books in the window, then fewer people are going to come in. Chicago is setting up for NASCAR, so next weekend is the NASCAR road race here in Chicago. Yeah, I agree, Maria. I don't ever want anybody to think that it's undervalued. The idea that if you make them close those blinds, it looks suspicious, right? And that it won't draw people in. And as I've always said, right, my best tool in this game is preventing people from joining Scientology. I'm probably not pulling a lot of people out of Scientology. I do want to ask them the challenging questions, right? Like, oh, I forgot, right? Does Scientology let you talk about Scientology? I have to regain all my patter back. I just don't, I haven't been out consistently enough, and as you all know, where I live, I'm not near an organization anymore, so it doesn't really give me too much opportunity to go out there and challenge Scientology's body routing tactics or help inform the community. It is really enjoyable to be back here in Chicago. I love all of my old places. I like that, right, Chicago is much more walkable than where I am in Florida. Florida is another one of the classic car cultures. People live in residences and drive to shops, whereas here, residences are mingled along in with the retail. So you're just always seeing a lot of people here. Thank you, Kendra. Very kind of you. Yeah, you know what? That's interesting. I wonder if Scientology tries to fake support the LGBTQ plus agenda, right? Just like they're big proponents of NOI and diversity, unless it comes to themselves. Now, depending on we got a train overhead, sorry. Depending on the crowds up here, it might be a little bit challenging to reacquire the bodybuilder who came by. So a couple of things in Florida. I've gotten back to much more dedicated to running, so I'm doing that quite a bit more, but you got to do that really early in the morning. I have taken a couple of kite surfing lessons. That's incredibly enjoyable, and I'm taking golf up again. I used to play when I was younger, but I'm never good at golf. Golf is an enjoyable outdoor activity. It's a beautiful walk in the park, spoiled by chasing a little white ball. But I do spend some time there. We're pretty close to the ocean, so and I've got a beastly little pet, and she loves being by the ocean. She hates the water, but she loves the sand. And we go walking on the trails all the time, although I am so fearful for her because she looks exactly like the prey of every single thing in Florida, right? So you've got the ospreys, they're fish and rodents, eagles, vultures. Well, vultures typically are opportunistic and they're not going after it, but eagles, snakes, alligators. Howdy, Kathy. Great. When we opened up the live today, I started just a bit early, and we had passed one of the body routers. She had her Way to Happiness ball cap on, but I couldn't really tell that she had much more paraphernalia on, and she absolutely had a backpack, so I'm sure that backpack was filled with flyers and propaganda. For those of you unaware, right, we're coming up on Grant Park. There's some wahoo that is illegally driving his motorcycle through the park. Kind of scanning up and down, see if I can find the lady that was coming over here. Let's walk up Michigan Avenue a bit. We're heading north on Michigan Avenue. You can see there's all kinds of people out here on the sidewalk. It's kind of a tourist launching pad for people that come to Chicago. Everything east of here, so Grant Park is being shut down pretty aggressively right now because they have to set up everything for NASCAR. You can't travel up into the park. They closed down Columbus Avenue, which is the north-south that runs through the middle of the park, on Friday. They basically close it all off, and then they have to do a little bit of repaving for the cars because Chicago is going to have some potholes that occurred over the winter and all that kind of stuff, and they cover up the manhole covers so the cars can race more smoothly over it. It'll be interesting, and again, the body router absolutely can't watch me on YouTube, but there might be people at the org that are in OSA that are monitoring this, and right, they employ the phone tech, and they might be alerting the young lady that I'm out here. Hey, turn left on that street ahead of you to avoid so-and-so. What time is it? 10:50 or 9:50, so it's coming up on 10 o'clock. I think that she would stay on this side of the road only because, again, the vast majority of the park is already shut down. So I think that there's more pedestrian or foot traffic over here on this side of the street. Howdy, Antics, great to see you. I saw you last night. You were over at the beach, and just as I came in, you were shutting down for the evening. This morning we found a flyer out here on the street. It was out in this area. And then just as we were going live, we saw one of the body routers coming this direction. Now she may have gotten on a train as well. So as she was coming over here, she might have gotten on the Harrison Red Line, kind of get out of the zone. I'm less worried if they go, miles away from the org, because people aren't going to be that much interested in coming to the org from the outer neighborhoods, right? Or neighborhoods that aren't within a mile of it. Hey, Laura, how you doing? Great job, Father's Day. I have not really been following the community that much. I've just been concentrating on other things in my life recently, but it looked like that was rather successful. LA Audit, Mama Squirrel, Antics, just doing a great job out there. We did see a body router just as I got out here. She was heading over this direction, but I wanted to get to the org to close the blinds. So we'll see if we can reacquire her. Not sure what direction she would have gone. If you were here on Friday, we saw the young man who his grandmother came to visit him last summer. And I remember talking to her. She wasn't Scientology. She was just here to support her grandson. It's like, yeah, you've given your grandson to a cult who exploits children. Well done. So you can see, right, that all the roads are closed heading into Grant Park. Even pedestrian traffic now can't get in there. They're starting to set up the spectator stands. But right now the seats aren't there, but they've got the infrastructure infrastructure to attach the seats to, ready to go. Beautiful day out here. I'm guessing probably already 85 degrees. Chicago has a little bit of a heat streak. Hot streak. It's really warm here right now. They've had several days over 90, which usually that's happening later in the summer. This is pretty early in the summer for that to occur. This morning it was really enjoyable. I was able to run along heat wave. Thank you. Isn't there an old Motown heat wave song? And so I'm not seeing any propaganda on the ground right now. Again, no idea where the young lady went. I felt it was more important to go ahead and close down the org before I decided to chase the propaganda around the city. Howdy, Irish. Great seeing you. And many of you know what's kind of been going on in my life, and I really appreciate all of the care and concern and the well wishes. It was greatly appreciated. And again, I've always loved the community that exists on this channel. We've all historically been incredibly civil to one another and supportive of one another. I've got the camera stable, but I am kind of, my head's on a swivel, just seeing if I can find, again, the young girl or young lady who's left. And again, I can't remember what her name was. Bridge, did we ever figure out what the blonde Eastern European's name was? I thought that we did have that. I just can't remember what her name is. Apparently, Arby's is a sponsor here for the race. You know, I think the race is a big win for NASCAR. I think it's sort of like F1, although it's not as bad. F1 really shuts down Vegas to the point where people can't get to places they want to go to. Whereas here in Chicago, yeah, Grant Park is our front yard and people can't get there, but there's no real retail in there. So it doesn't harm us anywhere near as much as like F1 does to Vegas. So it does bring the attraction. I hate when when Grant Park is closed down for any reason. You know, I feel like it's Chicago's front yard, and this race is going to take place over 2 days, and it's going to lock down the park for about 3 weeks. It doesn't do much damage. You know, Lollapalooza then is much worse. Lollapalooza closes down the park for a month and a half, and it oftentimes does an incredible amount of damage because there are so many people on the grass and just stomping down that grass to the point where it's just a mud patch by the time Lollapalooza leaves. (24C), okay, so we got the art museum over here. Right, you've got Jehovah's Witness. I still don't see our young lady. Thank you. Yes, Elena. Now, remember that it used to be that Elena was always out with the other Eastern European with the dark hair, and she was the one that confronted me the one day. I really haven't seen her, so my expectation is that she was moved off base, that they were afraid that I would have been able to get charges against her, and they wanted to get her out of jurisdiction. Hey, Elron, great seeing you. Mary Jane. I love seeing all the old names in here, and I'm sorry, the names that I've grown so accustomed to seeing. All right, I don't think that we're going to find our friend. If you're ever in Chicago, so we're at Monroe Street right now. There's always food trucks here next to the art museum on Chicago. I'll walk one block in just so I can walk down in the shade. Now there'll be the train there as well. If anybody watches this and you're in Chicago, I want to say this is really easy to do. And consider just coming out here every once in a while. And all you have to do is, I swear to God, if I held up a dead phone in front of the org, they would close those blinds. They are so afraid of people seeing how empty their organization is, right? So, hey, Joe Sakala, thanks, Randy Kretschmar, all of you Scientology benefactors in Chicago, thank you for the hundreds of millions of dollars that you put towards this organization, and it's done nothing, right? That it's an empty, hollow organization, just like they are all across the nation and the world. Nobody wants to come into Scientology, and it's empty. You wasted your resources. You wasted your money. Yeah, Bridge, my guess is that she's down in Florida as well. We'll see. Oh, train upstairs. I don't know if the train drowns out you, but I can't hear myself, so that's why I'm usually not talking when the train's overhead. I really thought that I would be able to get out to Tampa more frequently than I do. Again, you know, life kind of just keeps up on you, and I've got responsibilities and other things that prevent me from that. That's, you know, to get out to Tampa, 6 hours of, well, it's probably 7.5 to 8 hours driving just to get there. So I do have family over there, so on occasion I'll go over and spend some time with my family and then take advantage of that to go to the org, but haven't been able to do that much. Tell you what we'll do. I'm going to go another block over, so we'll get away from the train. The reason that I'm in here is I just wanted a little bit more shade. It's really, really warm out here. And we'll go past the org one more time, see if the blinds are down. And then I'm going to have to go join my family, and we're going to do Chicago touristy things. Yeah, Peter, I loved that that Emer video, and I talked about it on Friday. What I really need to do is I need to take his video and cut it with the, if you remember the young African-American guy that I saw in Dunkin' Donuts, and he talked about how they brought the pretty girl up to talk to him, and then the young guy, the younger guy that was walking away from the org one day, and he said, well, I really only came here to talk to Jessica, right? And the other one I liked about that video, and I'll see if I can uncover more of her TikTok, she kind of claimed that because of Scientology, her musical career is skyrocketing. And again, I'm not subscriber shaming, follower shaming, whatever you want to say in that regard, but she does not have a large concentration of followers on YouTube, Facebook, or TikTok. Additionally, her followers the vast majority of her followers pre-exist her joining Scientology. If you look at her career, she claims to be a realtor, she claims to be a songwriter, she claims to be an influencer, but she has, at best, a very dedicated micro audience in those spaces. But right, we know that, and that's always been in the playbook of Scientology, that they understand that pretty sells, right? So they would definitely try to put their, honeypots out there to attract people. Whether it's male or female. Well, we saw that definitely in Hollywood, right? The early days of Streets and Jessica, the Chris's. Yeah, Bridge, I remember seeing that as well, right? So she's a serial failure, right? And failure is a strong term right there. She's a serial starter, but we haven't really seen the follow through and the upside of the things that she claims to be helpful to her. Now, she also is employed by Sakela's organization, right? DreamWorks. Just like, if you look at the payroll of Joe Sakela's DreamWorks, you're going to see an inordinate amount of overlap with Scientology staff members in Chicago. Yeah, Kendra, this is beautiful. I will say that that's one of those things that I do love about Florida as well, is that it's just eternally green where I'm at. Whether it's palm trees or deciduous trees, all kinds of ferns, all kinds of just beautiful greenery, and it's great weather year round, so it just seems to consistently grow or continuously grow. Definitely seeing that, right, there's people prepping up for Pride. And I think I've told you guys in the past that I'd seen pretty much everything except for the manatee, but I finally found the manatee. I was running over a bridge that was over the intercoastal, and there was a little manatee playing in the water below me. I'll have to look and see what, I'm not aware of what Nelson is. What is their core business? And any idea if Ted Nelson is also Scientology? Folks, we're going to head right back over to the org real quick. Historically, what will happen is if they think that they're free and clear of me, they'll put the blinds back up. So I want to go see if the blinds are up. And if they are, we need to bring them back down. And then I will part ways with you for the day and go spend some time with my family. Howdy, Lady E. Great to see you. Okay. Thanks, Bridge. Definitely a warm day. When I'm out here in the sun, I'm starting to glow a little bit. We're about 2 or 3 blocks away from the org right now. So I'll head down Dearborn, and then Dearborn is parallel to Clark Street. Remember, the org is at 650 South Clark Street. As I was saying earlier, if you're a Chicagoan or somebody who's ever in Chicago, just walk by there, stand for a little bit, hold your phone up, and you'll be able to bring those blinds down. See if I can get across the street here. My hope is we do better than our first round today. This morning, it took us a little while to get the blinds down. Now, I will say that as soon as I was noticed, they came down very quickly. It just took them a long time to notice because they were inattentive. They weren't scanning their environment. They weren't prepared for jumping out and recruiting. Boy, a lot of memories, right? We used to catch them in the 7-Eleven, handing out their flyers. We're coming up on Clark Street next. To our right is the federal courthouse. There's a lot of immigration activity that goes on in here. Scientology does have a tendency to stand out at that corner. The corner that's up that street is really where the entry to the building is, and people will line up waiting to get through security. And Scientology will take advantage of that, passing out their propaganda. Not seeing any real activity here on the street yet. It's a Sunday, so the courthouse is closed, but that corner up there is kind of where the entry is, and you'll usually see a mass of people waiting to get in from there. Oh, more garbage. We'll see if we can find a better home for this. So yes, folks, there are people out here, you know, right, passing out flyers. I'm just always glad when I find it on the ground because that just says that, hey, they don't even really need me to know that Scientology is bunk. Love the Chicago shorts here. Up, we've got the doors open and the sandwich boards are out here. Notice how they've got it right up to the edge of the sidewalk, but not on the sidewalk. Because with all of their money, they can't afford the fees. All right, so we've got a victim in here. We'll see if we can talk to her when she comes out. Want to see if we can get the blinds closed, because one of the things that's really effective, right, is they'll come up and close these blinds. Here we go, right? Hey, there's Chris Romano. Look, they're ashamed. So closing the blinds right in front of one of your victims. How you doing, Chris? I think we did better that time, right? Much faster. That's right. Just watching the church close their blinds in shame. Cults don't work in the sunlight very well. Look at how messed up their stickers and decals have become. So you've got the standard there that says, you know, please see the receptionist come in. They've got a table out here for the free stress test. They've got their 2 billboards out here. All right, Scientology TV. Wow, they're on Roku as well. They spent an awful lot of money. I don't know if everybody's aware of it, but they have their own channel on DirecTV. And when DirecTV first came out, they paid a boatload of money just so that they would have a 24/7 dedicated channel there on the satellite, so that they could transmit at least all of North America. I'm sure that DirecTV or whoever it's become, I'm not even sure if it's called DirecTV anymore, but they may have merged with others and it might be multinational at this point, but back in the day, you could only get it on the North American continent just because of where the geosynchronous satellites that were sitting just below Texas. That's got to be very, very puzzling to the person sitting down. Why did they shut the blinds, right? Oh, the old white-haired man just walked by. I remember him from back in the day. Thank you, Patty. By the way, me and Taz, I do think they really do believe that I wouldn't return, right? They're an optimistic cult. And yet it's pretty bad that the cost of this is really cheap. This is just, the way that they frosted their windows, it's an after effect. So they just put a sticker on the inside to give that frosted effect. And this was not what the original windows were. The original windows were see-through glass or clear glass in this space. And after the Scientology protesting was really peaking in Hollywood, they started, that's when we started seeing the tint come up here. Yeah, I agree that it's not ship shape, right? You're fine. It's just the cult of Scientology.
No, yeah.
So I like to come here, and they've got their retail books there. Whenever they're here, I always make them shut their blinds so that they look invisible to the world. So,
do you have an Instagram?
It's YouTube.
Okay, no, because
Okay.
I've seen some, I guess.
Yeah, there are
used to be
several.
similar on
Yep.
Instagram.
Yeah, there's several. So William Good, Jessica, a lot of people out in LA. There's somebody that was in here recently who kind of went in under guise and filmed what had occurred. They have some very attractive women in here, and it's, wow, what could you do with attractive women, right? And a couple of years ago, I would see that they would introduce her to all the young men who would come out here, and she was the one that kind of brought them in the door. And it's just a very big tactic for them. So, what do you know about Scientology?
Lord Xenu.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Souls into the volcano.
Nice. That's actually
populated animal humans
Yep.
in the early.
Trillions of years ago.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I guess I'm just curious, because I remember for a class we were doing different research things. My group, we decided to study cults. We found a ton of research papers on how Scientology goes after former members.
Yep.
To scare them and things like
Yep.
that. I mean, just curious, are you ever scared that they'll do something similar to you for kind of filming and everything?
Yes and no. So in the early 2000s, well, and before, it was very, very prevalent that they would do that kind of tactic. And the channel will tell me in a second what they call it something. But they would come and attack you. Now they can't afford the propaganda to do that, right? Because they don't want the camera to see what they're doing. in these spaces. That's really why they close the blinds. So they don't want it, they don't want their people to see that's empty inside or what's going on there. Fair gaming, that's what it was called. So fair gaming. If you saw Leah Remini, right? She had the show Aftermath. Leah Remini she's an actress. She was a Scientologist, dyed in the wool, loved it. And she asked a question one day where the leader's wife wasn't at a wedding, wasn't at Tom Cruise's wedding. And said, "Where's Shelley?" And she got in trouble for even just asking that question.
Yeah, well, so like you haven't seen her in decades.
Yeah. It's really just it's a money scam. Now I don't care about their philosophy. You can have whatever philosophy you want to have. They don't really they won't consider that. They'll say they're not a religion, except when it comes to taxes, they're absolutely a religion. That they're a thinking thought process, but it's a money scheme that they're going to give you a test. That test is going to have, whenever you take any kind of personality test, it'll be, I'm really good at curiosity, but I'm bad at, maybe I'm introverted. So they'll say, hey, we can help you with that. Here's a book. Okay, now buy this book. Now buy this book. And they just keep on stepping you up. When it comes to children, they do something called auditing in this. It's similar to, and I get grief all the time. Confessional is the thing that most people would attribute it to. It's you talking to a member of the church.
But it's different because confessionals are always voluntary versus audits are like mandatory, and they're like, tell us.
They're pseudo-mandatory, but yeah, you're absolutely correct, right? This idea that, they're going to ask you questions, but what's really strange about this is they'll have child auditors, preteens, and they'll be asking sexually charged questions. And there are definitely accusations of sexual misconduct at inappropriate age level spaces. They also have something called their treatment. They'll put you in a spa for up to 8 hours a day and give you high doses of niacin, which, if you ever look at your cereal, right, it says 50 grams a day is what the doctors recommend. They're giving you 5,000 milligrams a day, right? 100 times the recommended dosage. And these kids are suffering through that process. Kids are taken away from their parents. Family separation is a big thing that they do as well. So if you've got family members that are not in Scientology, they'll make you disconnect from them. They won't let you talk to your family anymore, right? And that's how all cults work. When you did your study, right, the idea that isolation is really what their hook is, right?
You got to keep them, I guess, hooked
in
a certain way. And then, just another question out of curiosity: what motivates you?
It really is these crimes.
This is a little bit of grueling work.
It is. So it's time consuming, but so what they'll do is, and I just threw one away. They're going to hand out flyers, and what my goal is to help people not go in that door, right? That's really what I want to do. I know people. I've got friends that have been in this cult, and they were harmed by the cult. There's somebody in the channel right now. Her father is still in the cult. Her father's not allowed to talk to her. She's not able to get access to her father. That's a very common element, and it's like that's not something. You don't walk in those doors and that's not their selling point, saying, hey, we'll make it so you can never talk to your father again.
Of course, yeah.
So that's really what it is, and it's not that much of a burden for me to, when they come out here to start passing out flyers, every time they pass out a flyer, I'll just let the people know that they pass it out to what it is, and I have these big collections of all of their flyers that, hey, you guys are ineffective in what you're doing. So.
I mean, good on you.
Thanks.
Enjoy.
Yep.
Hopefully,
all right.
turn some people.
I appreciate it. Take care. Boy, I miss those engagements. And boy, have I gotten stupid. Purification rundown, thank you. I need to stay more consistent with this. I've lost all of my patter. All right, folks. I do have to head back to my family. I really wish that I could hang around and engage the young lady who's in there right now. But I'm going to call it a win for the day, right? We got the blinds down twice. We saw that they do have body routing going on out here still. We were able to have a pretty engaging conversation, helping educate on what goes on inside of this org. So that is very awesome to me. Thank you, Kathy. All right. I hope you all enjoy your day. Spend time with your families. Do the things that Scientology won't let you do. independent thought. Joyful expressions with your family and friends. So, all right. Folks, you have a great day. I will see you sometime in the future. No guarantees. Hey, if you're still subscribed, please, make sure you check that you're subscribed. You all know that I go live on a whim's notice, or on a whim, on a moment's notice, on a whim. So please subscribe. I will see you all later. Thank you, Fuzzy.